Hello there, I am Maria Adu-Zakari. Welcome to Business Focus on Politics and Business TV. The national electricity grid is a network of generation companies, distribution companies, and the transmission company of Nigeria. Private companies are allowed to generate and distribute electricity in the country. Nigeria's electricity generation mix is made up of mostly gas combined cycle plants, followed by gas open cycle. At the lower end of the contribution scale are large hydropower plants. National grid has collapsed up to 138 times in the last decade. We will take a look at the equities market and currency market all after the video. Stick around. We'll look at the highest rates for today, and the highest rates for today we have Access Core with 107 trades at the volume of 37,449,000 and volume of 3,655 at the value of 87,793,000. MTN Nigeria as the highest trades also has 59 trade at the volume of 114,460 at the value of 28,242,000. We'll take a look at the top gainers for today, and for the top gainers we have SCO at positive 9.88%, with Infinity at positive 9.86%, and Access Core follows closely with positive 8.09%. The top losers for today, the bottom losers for today, we have UPL top in the list at negative 9.82%, and Sunu Assurance follows closely with negative 9.38%, and Etana is third on the list with negative 8.260 per dollar. The Naira is still losing currently, so we'll take a short break, we'll come back, and we'll take the interview segment. Our topic for today will be grid collapse. What's the way forward? Do stay tuned. Welcome back from that break. We are here on Business Focus, and this is Politics and Business TV. We are discussing way forward for the grid collapse, and to discuss this with me, to analyze and break everything down, is an FCA by name, Mr. Wale Joshua. Good morning, Mr. Wale Joshua. Welcome to Business Focus.
Good morning, and nice having me once more.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
So we are here talking about the grid collapse. Let's take a quick breakdown of the collapse in recent years. Data on grid collapse showed that in 2013, the country recorded 24 power system collapses. The collapses incidents, while 21 cases were recorded in 2017. 2018 forward to 2018, we recorded 13 times of grid system collapse. In 2019, we recorded 11, which is lower than 2018. In 2020, we recorded 2020 and 2021, we recorded just 4 collapses in both the years. Then the situation worsened in 2022, and we recorded 10 grid collapses, and in 2023 and 2020 and 2023. And in 2022, there was actually a time span of 48 hours where we lost the grid twice. So it's like since 2013, we have been having grid collapses, system collapses, and it seems it's just getting worse. The most recent one happened on Monday, that's 11th of December, Mr. Joshua, and the electricity cut down from 4,032 megawatts at 12 p.m. to about 43 megawatts at 1 p.m. Moving on, by 5 p.m. on Monday, it actually went all the way down to 303 megawatts. So the TCN was about to commemorate its 400 days of no.
When we talk about the grid collapse, it's a national problem.
True.
And the national problem is affecting individual businesses.
True.
Apart from individual businesses, it's affecting the citizens
Of the country.
When we talk about grid collapse, we are talking about a business stoppage. We are talking about increasing cost of running business.
It's a lot of things.
Yes, it's not just what we define as grid collapse.
True.
When we say grid collapse, we should understand
what it affects.
The naira and kobo and what it affects. It affects a lot of things. It affects many households and businesses.
Yes.
So grid collapse is an issue to talk about.
True.
It's an issue which has to do with national policies.
True.
Having stated that the grid collapse is a kind of maintenance issue, is a kind of collapse that doesn't pre-inform the nation. It just happens like that. So analyzing the trend, very good, but we will not suggest that another grid collapse will happen come January, come March, except a sudden effect happens. What are the issues surrounding grid collapse? We have aging grid lines. If we have aging grid lines, what that means is that the grid lines are not able to shoulder the weight of energy supply to the grids. Although the argument against this, that Nigeria has a strong grid lines that can shoulder the weight of the energy supplies. However, we should look at since the day of 3 hydro dams, which were now supported by the gas supplies, we've not been able to overhaul our grid system as of then. I could still remember that this same grid system that we're still using as of the Kanji Dam National Electric Power Authority power over the years, and with all the unseen maintenance issue. Yeah, if you are not going to supply a specific vast area of electricity supply, and you allow the GENCOs to put off the supplies to the grid, what it means is that you are returning back the energy, and when you return back energy, it becomes a stress on the generating set itself.
That's
whether it's gas,
instead of distributing, it's going back into the grid. Yes, it will.
So yes, that's where the data collection has to come in. Look at many other factors that surrounds the infrastructure. The electricity price plan has catered for infrastructure maintenance and growth. The price is meant, before you increase price, the distribution companies are meant to tell us how they are going to improve the infrastructure. They should tell us how they are going to recoup back the finances that have been sunk into maintenance, overhaul, and growth. They have to justify this. Without justifying this, you can't just increase the electricity price, which I know that there has been increased electricity price over the years. Before the GenCos, before the distribution companies would be bold enough to say they want to increase the price of the electricity, there must have been significant expenses on infrastructure. If there is no price increase, will they be able to shoulder these infrastructural needs? At this point, the government came in and told us that electricity was and has been subsidized. So at this point, that shouldn't be a problem. Infrastructure shouldn't be a problem, except where the problem is artificially created. Then we look at saboteurs, the activities of the saboteurs. The activities of the saboteurs tells on the grid, it tells on the infrastructure. It goes as far as political sabotage. If you are going to name a dog black, if you are going to give a dog a bad name so that you can hang it, electricity is a good avenue to do that, because it touches the lives of many citizens. And if the supply is abruptly cut short, many citizens will voice out. So at that point, we have activities of the sabotage. So which has to do with the gas supplies. How do we manage our gas supplies? Because our gas supplies have increased over the years and overshadowed the hydro supplies, which Mambila power plants just joined. So we need to look at a lot of factors surrounding this, the grid collapse, not just giving it a name, grid collapse, and leaving it as grid collapse itself.
Okay, Mr. Joshua, you just mentioned the Mambila hydropower plant. The Mambila power plant has no allocation from the budget passed, from the budget submitted by the president. There has been talks that it's supposed to power the whole of the northern part of the country, and it was given no allocation, not less allocation, but no allocation. So is the government really serious about the electricity situation? Well, it should reflect in the budget.
In the budget.
It was just passed, and now how many days after the grid has collapsed, and there is no provision for the Mambila power plant, hydro plant in the budget.
Yeah, Mambila power plants may not be in the budget. Budget is a document shaping out the policy plans of the government. But we should look at it in another way. Another way in the sense that there is always room for supplementary budgets. If Mambila power plant has a need for critical finance supply, it will definitely get it through a supplementary budget. That's number one. Number two is that Mambila power plant is being handled by contractors which are expatriates. Having budgeted for the cost of putting up Mambila power plants over the years, we should be careful not to over budget for a particular power plant at the expense of other budget lines. If contractors handling Mambila power plant has been paid off, if they've been advanced to certain level, there may be no need to budget for that within this year again, because the budget must reflect what we want to spend. If we've spent, if we've advanced 100% of what Nigeria has to advance to the contractors, why still putting 100% of what we need to make Mambila power plant function into the budget again? So if there is a need, I believe that the government will do a supplementary budget for that, and it will come alive. Mambila power plant is very strategic to the nation, being an hydro power plant. True. Which may not suffer much of the distance risk associated with the gas pipeline supply, and will not suffer much of the breakdowns which we may encounter due to non-supply of gas. And it supplies more than 1,000 megawatt of electricity. It will supply more than 1,000 megawatt of electricity to the nation at full capacity. I believe that Mambila power plant is strategic to the policy, the energy policy of the government.
Okay, so Mr. Joshua, what exactly caused the grid collapse on Monday? Because the TCN should have stated why this happened, because they are looking forward to the 400-day celebration now, as in we do not off lights at all. Well,
I sympathize with the TCN for not attaining that goal.
True.
Because when you've invested much energies into getting things running, and it doesn't yield the necessary results, it becomes a kind of painful experience to the team.
True.
So I sympathize with them. Having said that, it's still the technical issues which was not disclosed, not even the gas supply, because we flare gas in Nigeria, not that we don't have. Nigeria is much of gas producing nation than even the oils, so we have that as that. So I believe that it's technical issues, because no vandalization has been identified, no poor supplies of gas has been identified, and no returns of energy has been identified as cause of loss of grid as at on Monday. So it's a technical issue which has not been made public. I believe that they're still investigating the cause, and they will come up with a good mitigating maintenance action.
Okay, Mr. Joshua, earlier you mentioned the reason for the grid collapse. You talked about the lines being probably weak, although the TCN has said that's not it. Would you say there is enough maintenance going on in the power sector of the country? Because some things we could say in Nigeria, some infrastructure are of the very first foundation of the whole of the FCT.
Yes.
We could say that infrastructures in the country are the first foundation of the country. That's by the West. That's during colonialism.
Yes.
So would you say there is enough maintenance of the infrastructure?
Yes, I will tell you the maintenance activities going on in the electricity value chain. One of which is the Siemens project. Another part is the disco's investment in energy sector. Another part is the Nigerian government's investment in energy sector itself. And currently we are looking at the data generating, which will help collapse maintenance, so that we manage the supplies, the distribution, and the capacity carriage information. If we can do this, the capacity carriage information will tell us that a span of grid has lost the capacity to carry what. So that's number one. Number two is Siemens as a representative of the German government has been investing on the step down transformers in order to bring electricity to the doorsteps of Nigeria. So that's a maintenance, that's a kind of maintenance and overhaul plan itself. So another part is the DISCO's investments in their own infrastructure. Truth be told, DISCOs are investing a portion of their reserves into the electricity infrastructure, which has to do with the common distribution line, the DISCOs, the grid to household distribution network. So that has to do with that. So much has been invested into that. Apart from that, a kind of policy has been invested into the electricity value chain, which has to do with the Electricity Act 2003, which has just been signed into law. So if this is in place, I believe that a lot of activities has been done in terms of maintenance culture, in terms of maintenance action plan for the electricity, which we should be expecting that it should yield much fruits very soon.
Okay, you are on to Politics and Business TV. This is Business Focus. We're discussing the grid collapse, the recent grid collapse, and the way forward with Mr. Joshua Wole. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Do stay around.
Thank you.
Welcome back from that break. We are discussing the grid collapse here with Mr. Wole Joshua on Business Focus. Mr. Wole Joshua, the grid collapse the grid collapse in this decade has been counted, and we're still counting, has been counted as 138 times. So that's more than 138 times in this decade. So would you say the privatization of the sector is a good idea at this point? Because it was privatized at 2013, and from then to now we are still counting more than 138 breakdowns.
Yeah, privatization of the electricity value chain was done in the Obasanjo era, Obasanjo regime, by His Excellency Dr. Peter Saida Tedo. What has been the variables that was relied on in making sure that the privatization activities worked well? We have a lot of things that we consider as the success factor of privatization. One is the technical knowledge, two is the supplies of capital, and three is the Nigerian factor. If Nigerian factor were to be considered,
what is the Nigerian factor?
Nigerian factor is the bidding process. Okay. How did I get what? Even when I don't have the technical know-how, when I don't have the capacity, the capital, was the process favorably given to me? That's number one. That's when we consider the influence of interests in privatization. Okay. So I have not seen the capital aspect of privatization giving much result as desired as of when the privatization was concepted. Because if you look at the factors that we have five distribution companies returning back their shares to the financiers. So if they have the adequate finance as of then, that means they will be able to shoulder the weight of their responsibilities. So then the electricity breakdown, the poor supplies suggests that we may not have that the desired technical experience as of when privatization was concepted. So then we have three value chains. Only two were privatized as of then. That's the generating end and the distribution end. The transmission end is still
the function of the
held close by the federal government. So we may be looking at breaking down the transmission end itself, and that will has to do with the policy statement of the government. Of recent, we just have the commissioning of the board of board of privatization policies of the federal government. If the transmission network can be selected as profitable to be privatized, as valuable to be privatized, I believe that they can go ahead to privatizing it. But what I'm looking forward from this regime or from the federal government is that they should decentralize the transmission network, so that when there is a breakdown at one end, it doesn't affect many other ends of the national grid. Sure. If you can break it down, we can localize problems within an area as local to that area, rather than bringing it to the whole nation. Bringing it to the whole nation means that whatever vandalization activity that occurs far in any area of the country may throw a surprise to the national grid, which will affect all of us. So if we can stratify the transmission network, we will be able to distribute effectively, we will be able to manage our generation capacity effectively, and we'll be able to localize all the problem and treat it as local issue. That was what we said weeks ago, and that was what the Minister of Power is currently looking at, stratifying the distribution value chain of electricity, and breaking it down to manageable size. Okay. That means that the areas covered by most of our discos will be stratified and given to sub-discos or given to many other units of distribution company. Another area which the government should look at is the maintenance value chain. Maintenance value chain has to do with supplies to household. How do we break this down? How do we make sure that the supplies value chain are broken down to a manageable area? What we currently experience as our local unit is the marketers being given the role of maintenance, not knowing that the metering system has taken much of the works that the marketers are doing. With all due respect to their efforts, has taken much of the works they are doing, because all I need to do is to punch my meter card unit onto the meter, and it supplies me whatever unit I want to consume. So what do I need the marketers for at that point? So what I need is the maintenance man who can know that, who can identify that my area doesn't have electricity for this certain period, and we relate that to the discos, then bring solution to the desk. So there is a value gap which has been created, the maintenance value gap. The response time of the discos may not be as fast as desirable, and may not be as I want it, as rapid as I want it. So the maintenance value chain may be looked at to be created. That's the national maintenance value chain, the grid maintenance value chain, and the distribution maintenance value chain. If we can create that, I believe that we can improve, and if we can stratify our distribution network better, I believe that we can summon most of our problems.
Okay, so Mr. Joshua, quickly, the TCN recently said it's going to unbundle into two entities. Could you explain to us what that would entail, and what that and the effect of that on the power in the future?
Unbundling the TCN means that they are going to stratify. They are going to identify areas, whether technical or geographical, that they are going to separate their activities to, and that means that they are going to localize most of their value chains. The TCN has to do with the grid maintenance and the mopping up of energy from the distribution company and making sure that it gets to mopping up from the gencos and making sure that it gets to the discos in safe manners. So that's what the transmission company is responsible for. If that's the case, we have a lot of value chains that surround the transmission companies, and this value chain may be determined and may be subdivided into a manageable range for them to do. What it means for the energy sector is more manageable responsibilities will be created, and responsibilities will be monitored into what we call the service level agreement. If you are stratifying, if you are dividing the TCN into two, that means two persons will be responsible for the service delivery agreement. Your own portion, how did you manage it? How did Mr. A manage his own portion effectively? How did Mr. B manage his own portion? So if that is well managed, I believe that Nigerians will be better off it. So we'll be waiting for the level at which they are going to divide these services and who will be responsible for what. What we should be looking forward to is the capital and the technical aspects of managing whatever they came up with to divide the TCN activities to.
Okay, Mr. Joshua, quickly, the federal government allocated 1.6 trillion to subsidize the power sector in 2024. Do you think that's sustainable?
Well, it's sustainable. It's sustainable in the sense that the argument against the subsidy regime of the petroleum sector was that our petroleum product travels as far as Northern Africa. So we are subsidizing for the whole of Africa itself. But electricity in Nigeria is localized. Before you tap our distribution network from the borders, somebody will have been aware. Okay. So it's equally good that government is coming in to subsidize. What this will do is to give more purchasing power to the citizens. Apart from giving more purchasing power to the citizens, it will give much needed infrastructural investment to the distribution company, to the electricity value chain, to be able to sustain what it's expected to generate.
Okay. Believing
that the pricing system will bear the weight of the costs and expenses, knowing fully well that a capped pricing regime will not be able to give back to sustainable capital supplies, sustainable infrastructure supplies. Therefore, somebody needs to come in, either in form of loan or in form of grants, which the government has looked into. I believe that government is using Nigerian money to satisfy Nigerian citizens, so it's a good one.
That's good news. We are still talking about grid collapse. We just concluded talking about grid collapse. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back for the tidbit segment with Mr. Wale Joshua. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. This is the tidbit segment on Business Focus. We're here with Mr. Wale Joshua. Mr. Wale Joshua, welcome back.
Yeah, thank you.
So what do you have for us today?
Today we'll be talking about identifying opportunities within our area.
Okay.
The first thing is what are the business opportunities that your environment it's presenting to you. The first thing is identify people's need. The environment's need, then supply it as you can. Another thing is identifying what you can do. That's your capacity, what you can offer to the society. What you can supply to the society and what can be of value to them. In identifying that, you know that you need to study what your profession is and apply it. That's the apply side of your profession. Try identifying the apply side of your profession. And the other part is make sure that you identify other people's activity, break it down into value chain, see what you can supply within the value chain. Within the value chain, they may not have the capacity or the will to carry on most of their own value chain, or they may consider your own supplies as cheaper than what they can offer and manageable than what they can offer. So offer to sell to bring it on board better than they do. If you look at our banking, most of our banking activities, you see that most of them has broken down their value chain into many nodes, and these nodes are being supplied by many other service providing companies, like the cleaning, like the securities, like even the front desk officer, like customer care, like many other things. If you can do that, identify that, approach them, that you can serve this better than they are doing, and they will be better off. I believe that they can give you a chance. So thank you very much. That's our tidbit for today. Okay,
Mr. Joshua, I actually heard that it is better you find out what your environment needs than you sell in a commodity or product or service, and then you start looking for buyers.
That's forcing people to buy your products.
Okay, thank you very much for that insight, Mr. Joshua. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much.
This is Business Focus. We discussed the grid collapse, and a good tidbit was given on business. Stay blessed. I am Maria Adu Zakari. Take care.
Thank you.